G'day divers and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take you to one of my favourite dive sites in southwest Victoria, Helen Rock. I recently went there with the Warrnambool Sub-Aqua Club. We had some great conditions. It's a beautiful dive. I rarely get to go there just because of the way it's so open to the ocean. You need very good conditions to be able to dive this site. If you stick with the video, I'm going to tell you where it is, the GPS coordinates, all about the dive site. I'm going to label the marine life that we see. And then right at the end, if you stick with me, I'm going to explain all the settings and the camera equipment I use to capture these images. Helen Rock is a dive site halfway between Port Fairy and Warrnambool. It's about 11 kilometres from either boat ramp. I went out with the Warrnambool Sub-Aqua Club, and this is us leaving the Port Fairy boat ramp. It's probably the easier of the two to head out from. The dive site's about 2.5 k's off the coast. As you can see, it was a beautiful day and we got visited by some of the local dolphins who like to play around in your bow on the way. It was quite a calm day, but we did have quite a bit of sea mist, so it was a little bit hard to see. The dive starts not far under the water. The pinnacle starts at about 2.5 meters from the surface. It's not very big at that point, and the maximum depth from the dive is about 20 meters. There's about 3 pinnacles. The other pinnacles only come up to about 7 to 5 meters, and quite a bit of reef around the area. It's all volcanic. It is full of swim-throughs. You can spend your whole time just looking through the nooks and crannies, and it's very colourful. It's full of fan corals. There's yellow ones and orange ones. Then you've got the sponges on the sides. There's many different types of sponges of all different colours. Often a lot of people are very surprised at the amount of colour that we have here in the southern reef. It's not just tropical reef that has these bright, beautiful corals and sponges and fan corals. These sorts of sites that are very open to the ocean, they get a lot of nutrients and they're really healthy reefs. The site is really well known for attracting pelagic fish. On this trip I didn't see the kingfish and stuff, but it was probably because I didn't spend a lot of time around near the surface. I was diving on a fully closed rebreather and my buddy was on twin steel tanks, so we spent a fair bit of time at depth, just poking around, taking photos and filming. Our maximum depth was 20 meters and we spent 85 minutes down there. My buddy needed to do a 10-minute deco stop because he wasn't on a rebreather like I was. It's a very good site for crayfish. This is one of the club members grabbing a cray. There is heaps of them. That's a small cray for here. One of the largest crays I saw on the dive was about 4 kilograms. There was a lot of crays down there, a lot of places for them to live, and this site doesn't get dived a lot of the time. If you're new to my channel, I'm Sean Elliott and I've been doing underwater videography for about 25 years. I do everything from shore diving right through to technical diving with cave diving and rebreathers. I travel overseas and dive locally. I used to carry massive cameras like the Gates housing behind me. Now I specialise in trying to take the best possible shots I can with low-end model cameras like the Gopro or mobile phones. I try and get the best image I can out of such a small camera, so it makes it affordable for everybody to get into underwater videography. If you have a passion for diving and you want to know how you can take great images with an economical camera, then stick around, stay on my channel, please like this video and subscribe. You need very good weather to dive this site. It's very open, so if you're heading this way, you're going to have to be pretty lucky to just pick a day to get it. You really got to watch the weather and come just for that specific dive. You're going to need a swell probably under 1.5 meters and light winds to have any chance to get to this reef. But it is well worth the trip and well worth getting to. When I say you never luck out, ironically the first time I ever got to dive this site, I just randomly took a holiday to Warrnambool. I'd never been down this way and didn't realise that there was no charter boats, so we chartered a fishing boat and we headed out and he took us to this Helen's Rock. Had amazing conditions. It was the best visibility I've ever seen in southwest Victoria and I've never seen it again. So I did luck out. You can luck out. As you can see, heaps of crayfish. They're just crevices, there's swim-throughs. This is a beautiful part of the reef. All those crevices are full of crays. You've got boarfish. It's just a magical dive. my buddy had a fair bit of deco after this, so I came up, and this is a batwing slug. They're about 1 centimetre long. It's always cool. There's quite a lot of them there, and this one's decided to swim around and have a look. The water there was 17 degrees, but it is summer at the moment. Visibility was about 10 metres, which is about normal. In winter, it does drop down to about 8 degrees, so that's why we're all wearing dry suits. Unfortunately, I'd nicked my neck seal, and I was very wet. So, wonderful dive. I hope you really enjoyed it. Or if you ever get a chance, come down and have a look. And if you want to come out with the Warrnambool Sub-Aqua Club, then give us a yell. Well, I hope you liked the footage from that dive, and if you've got any questions about Helen Rock or the Warrnambool Sub-Aqua Club, please drop a comment below. As for the equipment that I was using, all the above water shots were taken with the Google Pixel 9 Pro, and all the underwater shots were taken with a Gopro Hero 11. Now, as for my settings, the generic settings for all the shots was I had it on 10-bit, high bit rate. I also had the ISO at a maximum of 400, medium sharpness. It was on white balance auto, although I have used GoPro Labs, so it fixes the white balance as soon as I start recording. Now, all the shots except for the batwing slug were taken at 5K 60 frames per second. I then slow that to 50% in post because generally most underwater footage will look better at 50% speed. And I use the AOI 03 wide angled lens. Now, the only the only shot that was different was the batwing slug near the end. That I used the backscatter macromate, and I filmed it at 4K 120 in a narrow field of view instead of the wide, and it was also zoomed in 1.4 times. Now, I probably would have shot at 5K 60 because I only ended up half speeding it in post. Because it was such a small little critter, it's only about 1 centimetre long and he's flying around. I put it on 4K 120 just in case I needed to slow it down by 4 times to get a long enough shot. If you've got any questions about the settings or my camera setup, drop it below. If you are wanting to know more about it, I am going to be making some detailed videos about my exact setups and my exact settings all the way through when I'm not only just using the GoPro, but also using the Pixel 9 Pro. I'm also going to make a video about why I don't think there's any point in upgrading to the Hero 13, unless of course you probably got a GoPro of a Hero 9 or earlier. And also why the GoPro is still the best underwater camera as far as the action cameras go. I know there's a lot of videos out there talking about how the Insta360 has that underwater mode and things like that, but there's a number of features in the GoPro that they don't talk about. For instance, it's 5.3K, it's not 4K, and the things you can do if you put GoPro Labs onto your GoPro. I mentioned it earlier, the auto white balance lock. That is probably one of the biggest things you want to find out about. It will stop those horrible shots where you go to shoot something and as the shot goes, the camera just keeps changing the color balance. With a GoPro, you can download some software that GoPro makes that as soon as you start recording, it locks the white balance. So you don't get any of that fading from blue to green and changing all through the dive. But if you'd like to know more about that or you'd like me to make a video just on that subject, please let me know. And please subscribe and like. And I'll see you in the next one. And don't forget to keep blowing bubbles. And the deeper you go, the further you get away from all those idiots. Until next time.